Would you like to work closer to home, save money on gas, and be rewarded for your hard work and attendance? Then Bellisio Foods is looking for you. That's right, Bellisio Foods is now hiring for multiple positions and shifts with great employee benefits, an on-site health clinic, competitive wages, and advancement opportunities. Bellisio Foods is a company that truly values their employees. Apply online at BellisioFoods.com/careers.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the morning show right here on Main Street TV, where it is a Blackie Thursday, but probably more seasonable than we have had in the past couple of weeks. But that's okay, because as I said yesterday, we have sunshine here in the studio, and we have our good friend Dennis Reinhart here, and we are going to be talking about some more fun, cool hidden gems, if you will, around our area that you can go out and explore on your own. If you happen to know where to go, which is where you come in.
That's right, and I'll try to give directions the best I can, but you know my directions from the last time.
You know, turn right at the big mossy rock.
That's right.
I believe that's what we decided it was. Yes.
Yeah. Today,
if you would pull that mic up a little bit, just so everybody can hear you. Yeah. Okay.
Right there?
Yep.
Okay.
That's good. Good.
Today, what I thought I would do is go over some places in Vinton County.
Okay.
And we're going to start on the Vinton County, Hawken County border, the newest preserve that the state of Ohio has. It was a preserve that was under the control of the Appalachian Ohio Alliance.
Okay.
And they gave it to the state of Ohio. Appalachian Ohio Alliance is a private conservation group. So.
Okay.
And it's very, very unique place and stuff. It's near Ash Cave. A lot of people don't understand that, you got this area that very few people go to that is in close proximity to a place where you have thousands of people.
I was going to say, because I've been to Ash Cave a million times.
Right. And this place is over 1,000 acres.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I'm just looking for the exact size of it. I know it's over 1,000. And it is a beautiful place with waterfalls and high cliffs and lots of hemlock trees and stuff. So
cool.
We'll have some pictures of it that we'll look at here in a little bit and stuff. It's 1,000 acres, sheer sandstone cliffs, rock faces, hemlock, numerous waterfalls. It's a place that you have to get a permit for.
Okay, so as you were here the last time, we talked about this permitting thing.
Permit only preserve, but that makes it nice because they control the number of people that are in there.
Yep. Yes, Adrian.
But yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
He's asking for a picture. I was like, he's raising his hand.
Okay.
Well, you are a teacher, so.
Now, you can access this waterfall, I believe, without getting the permit. If you come in off of Route 56, like you're going to Ash Cave, and there's a little town there that's Hue, H-U-E, and I think the road's Locust Grove Road. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But you follow Locust Grove Road, and you'll come to a road that's called Schooley Road. And it's a dead-end road. And if you drive back, that is the end of Bison Hollow. And that's a waterfall that they call Sheep Dip. And why it's called Sheep Dip,
okay.
I do not understand. But as you can see on the left, it's a grotto waterfall, which means it comes down through a hole in the rock.
Sheep Dip, I know a lot of kids when we were in high school and stuff. I never went, but they would go and swim and everything.
Oh yeah,
there.
It was popular for that, and it probably
because look at the water; it's gorgeous.
Yeah, if you go moving from the left to the right, that second picture, that's a small waterfall that's above Sheep Dip, and then as you move on, that is the hole that the water drops down through when it goes down through that chute. I know a guy that said that he
Wow.
jumped down through there.
Is he cray cray?
You know, I don't think you could get down through there, but this guy said he jumped down that hole and went down that waterfall down that way.
No, thank you.
And it just looks like it'd be a heck of a bumpy ride. But
Yeah.
that's Sheep Dip. Like I said, I think if you come in that way, you can get to it, and you don't have to worry about the permit to be down in the hollow. So.
Okay.
That's one way to get into the preserve. The other way is coming in from Ash Cave, and it's on Beach Camp Road. It's like 31893 Beach Camp Road. What you have to do is get the permit from the Appalachian Ohio Alliance. Even though it's a state preserve, they are still the ones that are issuing the permit for you to be able to go down in there and visit Bison Hollow.
Okay.
And stuff.
And so Sheep Dip is part of Bison Hollow?
Yeah, it's the end of Bison Hollow.
Okay.
A lot of these hollows, like we talked about the last time, there's some sort of water source, waterfall, whatever, at the end of those hollows.
Makes sense. That makes it
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah. There's some other pictures of Sheep Dip there, too. So that's a little bit closer.
Look at that. How beautiful.
It is. It's an extremely beautiful waterfall, and the sound of it, you know, the acoustics and everything. It's just a really nice spot to just sit there. And again, the hole of water is not that big, but it's deep. And these kids get in there, and of course they swim and that
Yeah,
sort of thing.
sure.
Yeah. But in the hollow itself, if we could go to the next pictures of Bison Hollow, get an idea of what it looks like. So yeah. So that's one of the waterfalls. That's the same picture of the same waterfall, the one on the left in the middle. But as you can see, it's a really unique waterfall, and it's hard to get an idea of the size of it. But it's a big thing. I mean, you know, climb up there and stand beside that tree. If you had somebody there, you could get an idea of the scale of it. The stream that goes down through Bison Hollow, there on the right, you can't really see it, but that's another waterfall up there at the top behind those hemlock branches that come down. And you know, it creates all this mossy rock and everything, and it's a nice, cool place to be, you know, on a hot day in the summer and that sort of thing. So that gives you an idea of and again, here's Bison Hollow again. That middle waterfall is another waterfall that's there.
Wow.
And again, some of these waterfalls, like on the left, there's a smaller waterfall way back in there. You would have to walk back in to see it. And then on the right there is a cave that's back in one of the rock faces there. So, you know, again, you're in the northern part of Vinton County. Part of Bison Hollow is in Hocking County, and then part of it is in Vinton County. So,
Okay.
Yeah, so it's in the northern part, and we're kind of moving from the north to the south here, see?
Yeah, that is wild. And to think that these places exist. I mean, this is like Garden of Eden movie set
It
stuff.
is.
And it's in our backyard and we don't even know it.
And most people think of Ohio as being just all urban or
Sure.
flat land and cornfields.
Sure.
And they don't understand that southeastern Ohio is like a completely different world. You know, and our terrain and topography or whatever is so different.
Well, it's
you
what
know.
makes us special.
It is.
Well, that and the human beings that live here.
Yeah,
But-
it does. It makes us special compared to the rest of the state because we're in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, and
Yeah, I think I told you when you were here the last time that, you know, you'd bring people home from college or whatever for the weekend and they'd be like, where am I?
Yeah.
Like all I see is like hills and cornfields and cows. I'm like, but the hills are what get people.
yeah, and you know, the glacier shaped most of Ohio. It not only leveled the northern part, but also the meltwater coming off the glaciers also cut a lot of these ravines and hollows and things that we have.
Isn't that
So
wild?
that's kind of like a gift of the glacier also right there, you know. So
Thank you,
we get all
Glacier.
that beautiful benefit from it and stuff.
Yeah.
So as you go from Bison Hollow, we're going to take a look at Vinton Furnace State Forest. Okay.
No, this is a different place.
Yes, this is a different
Okay.
place. So this particular area right here was where there was a furnace. At the time, there were like 69 furnaces in southeastern Ohio that produced iron back around the time of the Civil War.
Kind of like Buckeye Furnace, right?
Yeah, Buckeye Furnace. Well, there was a furnace that we'll show the remains over here in a little bit. I want to talk about what this is. There's the remains
Oh,
of
wow.
the old furnace, but going back to the other thing, we can switch back to that. Okay, what happened was with these furnaces, they used charcoal in them. And to make charcoal, they had to cut timber down.
Yes.
And so if we were to go back at that time period, it would look really different than it does now because the hills would be barren. All the trees would be stripped from the hills. And
Because they had to make the charcoal.
yeah, well, they did it to make the charcoal to produce the iron.
Okay.
And so once the timber was gone, they had to have a fuel for the furnace to make the iron. And what that was going to be was coke that is processed from coal. You couldn't put coal directly in the furnaces. And so they had no other options but to use coal from local mines. This technology was called a Belgium coke furnace. And the coal was put in there, and down there in the lower left-hand corner, you see the different ovens. Those are the ovens that produce the coke. And there was a track that was on top of it, and a cart would come along, and they would have what they called charging ports. And they would drop the coal down in there, whatever materials they were using to produce the coke. And there were iron doors on those ovens like that, you can see and stuff. So anyways, this is the only example of this technology left in the world today. It started in Europe, and it is in the middle of the woods.
Are you kidding
no,
me?
It's in the middle of the woods in Vinton County.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And right there in the top, I don't know if you can see the number on it. The parts were numbered. The rock was numbered. It was like a IKEA, project or whatever to put this thing together. So the pieces of it were made somewhere else. I do not think they were made in Europe. I think they were made in the United States someplace. But if you walk along, you'll see pieces that'll have numbers on it that had fell off of that thing. And somebody had to put it together part by part on that thing. But when you go there today, to get to this thing and to get to the furnace also, there's a short way to get there, and then there's the long way to get there. And the short way is another one of these disclaimer things.
Oh, I got you.
Okay. The short way.
Turn left at the second mossy rock,
well,
right?
the short way, you go on 50 east out of MacArthur.
Okay.
And you get out of MacArthur maybe 4 miles, and there's a road that's called Quarry Road. And you turn back Quarry Road. And you go back Quarry Road, and eventually you'll see one bridge, and then you'll see another bridge that's right close to the road, and you pull off there. Walk across that bridge. But that bridge, the boards have come out of it, so there's holes that you gotta watch. You gotta balance yourself on some of the iron supports on the bridge
God.
to get
That
across.
sounds horrible.
Okay. So it's an adventure, to get across that. But the other way is to come in from Route 160. When you come you go north of Wellston before you get to MacArthur. There, you've got Hamden. If you drive out 160, you turn right there. You know what I'm talking about. You get in Hamden, you'll see Route 60. Drive out Route 60, and eventually you'll come to a sign that says Vinton Furnace State Forest. And
Okay.
you follow the forest road back, and you'll go across the crossroads, and you just keep bearing right. You'll come to a gate, and you have to start walking at that point, okay? And you'll come to a place that is, it's called the experimental forest. There are laboratories back there and cabins and stuff that people that do research stay in.
What
while they're there.
experiments are they doing back there, Dennis?
Well, I mean, it has to do with timber growth, but also Vinton Furnace State Forest has the highest density of bobcats in the state of Ohio. There are more bobcats in Vinton Furnace State Forest than anywhere else in the state of Ohio.
Does that mean they're going to eat us, or
no?
Okay.
Originally, when we didn't have very many bobcats, that was a place that people went to go study them. So the researchers would stay there while they were carrying on studies about the bobcats. And there are also timber rattlesnakes in there, and things like azaleas and things that are not common in other places.
You lost me at timber rattlesnake.
Well, they're not real plentiful, but that's one of the last places that you find them, right there. So anybody that's doing...
So what happens if you're walking past the mossy rock and you see a timber rattlesnake?
Usually they are the most docile of rattlesnakes. There have been people that have walked right past them and not even known that they were there. So we're talking about an eastern timber rattlesnake.
Well, how easy is it to get an ambulance there? Because if I saw a timber rattlesnake, I would die.
Well, I mean, they gotta drive back a road. At least it's a road. But that trip to go to the furnace is like there and back is like 5.5 miles walking. I took a group from the Y.
You're kidding.
I took a group from the Y last year, and we walked back there. People did it. Kids did it. Older people did it and stuff. And we went to the furnace, the coke oven.
So it's not like super hard walking. It's just long walking.
Long walking.
Okay.
It's a long walk. And when you get there, there is a sign that has a QR code on it. And if you put your phone on there, it'll tell you the whole history of those furnaces.
Really?
So the state has put that there. So
Wow.
That's pretty cool. If you go back to the remains of that furnace was a profitable furnace, and they decided to get that ovens made, and it bankrupted the entire company, and the company went bankrupt and it went out of business. Because what happened was they invested all that money in those previous things I showed you, those ovens.
Yes.
And the coal had a high sulfur content in it, so it made the iron real brittle, and it was useless. And they tried to bring in coal from other areas, but again, that's going to add to your cost of making the iron. So it sunk the company to do that.
Oh man, which is why that's sitting there today, I guess. Did they just abandon it?
That's what it looks like today, but there are some pictures of what it looked like when it was in operation.
Oh wow.
So the piece that's got the rocks that are there, you see the block, that's what we see what's left of it with that moss all over it today. But that's what it looked like towards the last of its operation there. And it's just so hard to imagine when you look at that place today and there's all that forest around it, that was a place bustling with workers, and there was also probably a small community around there.
How did they get in and out of there?
Well, you had a railroad that came in, you had railroad track that came in there, and you had roads, but here's the thing, a lot of these furnaces had their own small community around them. And sometimes they didn't even pay these guys in cash. They paid them in company script. The only place they could spend it was at the company store.
The company store.
And so the company made money off of them that way also.
You load 15 tons and
15 tons. Yeah.
What do you get?
But it's just incredible that one on the left, that looks like the top of a castle or something to me.
Does.
The way it's built there. But, I mean, that gives you an idea how different things looked at that time there. Also in Vinton Furnace, as you go to the next one, I think another trail you can go to. Okay, this is Arch Rock.
Okay, that's cool.
It is. It's very cool. So you have to get to it from the side from Route 160. And so when you park there at the gate and you walk back to where those buildings are at, you would go straight to go to the furnaces on that road. To get to this, there's a road that goes to the right, and you'd walk on that, and you'll see a sign that says Arch Rock, the Arch Rock Trail.
Okay.
And it sits above Elk Fork, which is a tributary of Raccoon Creek, and it's just a really interesting arch. And it sits right out on a point of land, and there on the left is how narrow that point is, and there's a cliff there. And that's because it's been exposed to the elements and to the weather, and you've had like chemical weathering and the work of ice and everything else, and it's
Sure.
produced that arch. So it's a very interesting place to see.
And again, all of this is on public land. You're not
This is all
getting on.
public
You're
land.
not walking into someone's private
no, no,
property
no,
doing
no,
this. You're
no.
you're perfectly okay to be there. Now, is this a permit situation as well?
No.
Okay, so this is public. like-
Right. You don't have to have a permit to
Okay.
see the furnace and the ovens. You don't have to permit to see the arch there, the arch rock either.
Okay.
So, I mean, and like I said, basically what you're walking on is a gravel road. It's a forest road, but you're not allowed to drive on it. You have to walk on it. So
But
it's
it is
a
a
wide.
so it's easy walking though.
It's easy walking.
Yeah.
It's easy walking.
Okay.
It's not like some of those other places I said.
I know. Some
No
of them you
trail
had last
access.
time were a bit suspect, to say,
Right, no
to
trail.
say the least.
Right, no trail. And another area is called the Watch Rocks that are there. Okay, now, I think these things are cool. If you walk on past where it says, the trail to Arch Rock, you got a road that kind of forks off, stay on the lower road, walk on out that road, and the only sign you'll see, there's a sign that said there was some sort of a experimental thing that was going on there. If you walk off the road and you walk back to that point, you come to these rocks. On the left, that pillar is one of the strangest and most interesting pillars I've ever seen. It's just balanced there, okay? And you can see how the wind has worked on that. And it looks to me like the back of a dinosaur, or it looks like wings, and I call it just the wing pillar. And it's a pretty
Wow.
good sized pillar.
Yeah.
And right down from it, a few yards, is that rock that looks like it's got a big eyeball on it. And I mean, that's why they call it the Watch Rocks. It looks out over this valley down below. So you're up on this cliff. There's the Watch Rocks. And it had to have been, I don't think that's natural. It had to have been carved. And I've seen there are steps that are carved in the rock that are right beside it that you can climb up to. But you've got this, on out there, you've got this rock that's got this big eyeball on it, and you've got that neat looking pillar right there.
Yeah.
And again, this is all on public accessible land that doesn't cost you anything. You and your family can go for an afternoon walk and see some of these places however you want. So it's
That is awesome.
Really neat there in Vinton County. So.
Now, okay, I'm gonna be super 2024 for a minute. Is there cell service and things out in that area if you would happen to?
Yeah, I think there is because you're up. Okay, you're up above, and I'm pretty sure there's cell service at the furnaces too. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure about that. It's now when you're down in Bison Hollow, of course, you're down in between these cliffs and stuff. So
Sure.
you're probably not going to have good cell service there. There are
Because
places.
that may make a difference to somebody if they're with their kids or something like
right,
that,
right,
just for safety's sake.
Yeah, in Hocking Hills, there are areas that you don't have cell phone service too.
Yeah, I learned that real fast.
Yeah, I mean, and here you got a real popular place with
Even Old Man's Cave, you pull out a Old Man's Cave and you're like,
yeah, that's-
no GPS on this phone.
yeah. To go on to the next one, I'm not sure what we got here. Again, we're staying in Vinton County. Okay, the reason why I put this on is this is Raccoon Creek. And Raccoon Creek has just been designated a state scenic river. And to qualify for that, there has to be an element of water quality that is good water quality. There can't be a lot of development along the banks and everything. And what is so amazing about Raccoon Creek is that it was a completely dead stream. There was no life in it. For 100 years, it was dead because of
That is
coal
crazy.
mines and acid drainage.
Okay.
And, you know, when I was a kid, I canoed on Raccoon Creek, and you really didn't see any fish in it. Now, because of what they've done, there's 90 species of fish that are back into Raccoon Creek.
This is amazing. And
And
how do you clean a creek like that
well,
up?
what they did was they found the sources of where the mine acid water was coming in.
Okay.
And where there were waste piles of coal. They removed the waste piles. They sealed off the sources of pollution, and they actually used limestone. They created channels that the water would flow through, and then the mine acid would be neutralized by the limestone.
Gotcha.
That would
Okay.
be there. So these fish basically came up from the Ohio River and recolonized Raccoon Creek. So it's really beautiful up in the top. That's what it looks like in the winter on Raccoon Creek in a lot of places. And then in
It's
the
a
fall,
happy little stream.
it is. And there is a canoe livery on it, and it's about 6 miles out of Albany, and it's called Raccoon Creek Outfitters. So you can rent kayaks from them, and they will take you and haul the kayaks up to a certain place, and then, you know, they'll pick you up. Or you can use your own kayaks, or you can use a canoe,
Sure.
or whatever, you know, and experience our newest state scenic river in Vinton County.
That's pretty cool.
And it is an amazing story what happened there. And that creek is almost 100 miles long. So
it goes all the way to the Ohio River,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, and I've got a couple stories about this. I want to go back to the furnace. There's 2 Bigfoot stories, okay? So
Oh, goody. We love that.
Bigfoot story. But the first time I was out to the furnace, and I had my dog with me, and my dog was sniffing around, and hair was coming up on his back and everything. I'm like, oh man, what is this?
Yeah, what's
You know,
going
What's
on?
going on? All of a sudden, I heard this wailing, and it was these different sounds, and I thought, oh my God, that's Bigfoot.
I'm gonna
So
see
I took my phone.
Bigfoot.
So I took my phone and I started recording the sounds. So I came back home and I played them for my wife. I think I ran into Bigfoot, and I was listening to these sounds and stuff. Well, she's always skeptical of
She
anything
said, "What have
that
you
I
been
said."
drinking out there? What were you smoking out in the forest?"
But what she found out was Austin Powder, the explosive plant, is not too far from there. They have different warning sirens that mean different things. They were playing through all the whole sequence of the warning sirens, you know, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is Bigfoot.
How did you find that out?
Well, she was the one, you know.
Oh,
she
no.
doesn't take anything I say at face
You
value.
got your bubble burst. I'm sorry, buddy.
Yeah. And the other one, the other Bigfoot story I have about Raccoon Creek is when I was a kid, I was a teenager. I decided I was going to go all the way from Vinton County to the Ohio River with my canoe and camp and go all the way down there. Well, I took his dog with me again, my dog at that time. And it was in August, and the water was down, and there were all these logs I had to pull across and stuff. The dog was in and out of the canoe.
Sure.
It had mud, poison ivy, all this stuff. So we are camping, and I tied the dog to the tree. And in that circumstance, when I'm by myself, I want to just get to sleep.
Yeah, right.
So I don't hear anything. And in the middle of the night, the dog starts barking, and I hear... It sounds like something's throwing these big, huge rocks in the creek. Okay, it's just this big, loud sound. Oh my gosh, it's Bigfoot. He's mad because I'm here.
Yeah,
and he's
I'm in
throwing
his
these rocks-
domain.
He's throwing these rocks in the creek. Well, what it was, beavers had recolonized Raccoon Creek too. And they're about 50 pounds, you know. And what they do is they slam their tail down on the water to try to warn you or get you out of there, you know?
No.
And so I'm hearing these rocks being chucked. And of course, at that time, I didn't realize that beavers did that, you know? So, being a high school kid. So after about 2 days, and this is before cell phones. After about 2 days, I'm like, I'm getting off of this thing. I'm getting out of here. And so I walked to this farmhouse, and there's these 2 guys sitting out on the porch, and they're shooting groundhogs in this field. And anyways, I walked up and I said, "Can I use your phone?" Well, they let me use their phone. I kept calling people. Nobody, couldn't get a hold of anybody to come pick me up. The only person I got a hold of was my girlfriend's mother, who really disliked me. And so I had her come and pick me up. And the only thing she said to me was, "I hope you're through playing Daniel Boone." So, yeah, that was my experience there.
That is hilarious. Oh my God.
Let's see what we got next here. Okay, this is just some odds and ends down in the southern part of the Vinton County, actually just over the Athens County border. On the left there is called Chimney Rock, and it took me a while to find that. That's sort of, there's really no trail that goes back to it or anything, but that's my brother. We went back there one day to kind of check that out and stuff.
Super cool.
And then over on I couldn't tell anybody how to get to this thing if I tried to, but it's on the way to Moonville, and it's right off the road to Moonville. If you're about halfway down that road going to Moonville, and you look up, and there's some cliffs that are on this side, and Raccoon Creek's down here, and up on that hill there are some rocks. That rock is hollowed out. It looks like a big mouth or something. Yeah. And anyways, that's me sitting in it, and that's the end of my boots.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's just a strange thing. I mean, it's like the arch. It was formed by weathering, and same with the Chimney Rock also right there and stuff. So, again, those are just odds and ends, kind of across the Athens County border right there.
Super cool. So, okay, if I wanted to get to Moonville, I've only been there once in my life, and I didn't drive. I was just on a Jeep ride. How does one get to Moonville from here?
Go to Lake Hope, and when you...
Which you go out 50... Do you go out 50 to get to Lake Hope?
You go out 50, and I don't remember the route, but you turn left right when there's a railroad overpass or whatever. You turn left, and you go to Zalaski. Zalaski is a little town there, and just set it for Lake Hope State Park. And when you get to Lake Hope State Park, there's a road. Here's the dam over here, and then there's a road here. And that road's called Mace Road once you get out so far. But you drive out that road, and that'll take you to Moonville right there.
About how far out is it? It's a windy road, if I remember.
Yeah, I've got a story about that too, but I don't know if we got time.
Well, I mean, I'm all ears.
Well, it is a gravel road, but it's a lot better than it used to be. There's a big parking lot there, and there's a bridge to walk across where the railroad trestle used to be, and you could get to the tunnel. But I had this after-school group with these kids. It was a fishing group. But actually what it was these kids, they were good kids, but they were just ornery as all get out, and they were in trouble in school and stuff, And I would, one day out of the year, I would be given a school bus to take these kids and to take them somewhere on a field trip to fish. And then we usually have the ranger was there, and then you have a snake and turtle show or whatever for them, And so anyways, but the deal was I could take those kids, but I had to take every troublemaker in the school with me. So.
Well, okay. Back up for a minute. I need to know what constituted a troublemaker.
Well, these kids were, kids that were in the office all the time and stuff and everything.
Can you imagine
what
saying
I did
that
was
today?
I basically provided a day that the teachers didn't have to worry about anybody.
A respite.
Because I had them all with me, okay? And so, anyways, part of this is I had to go buy these fishing worms, night crawlers, and so I had in this big sack, and I don't know how many dozen I had there, and I put it in the refrigerator. That morning, grabbed this sack out of the refrigerator, threw it in a cooler, and we were on the bus, and we got to the destination. The kids were running off there and stuff and everything, and this kid said, "Hey, Mr. Reinhart, where's the bait?" And I said, "It's in the cooler." And he goes, I turned, he said, "Is this the bait?" And I turned, and he had my wife's pot roast. I took off with the pot roast instead of the worms.
Stop it!
So, I mean, if you were fishing for jaws or something, an inner tube for a bobber. But anyways, we decided, these kids, they were getting their lines tangled and everything else. I decided I'm going to try to take them to Moonville. And I don't know if you know Randy Spahn. He was the bus driver. And anyways, we took off that road in that bus.
In a bus?
In a bus.
Oof.
And we took a school bus. And this is before it was really developed. And we went back to Moonville.
That sounds like a horrible idea.
I don't know how he got that thing turned around, but he got
That's
turned
what I was
around.
wondering.
And one time we're driving, and there's no guardrail, and you're looking at the Raccoon Creek's way down there and stuff. And these kids just all ran to one side of the bus, and they're looking. And I told them, I said, get over on the other side. The bus is going to tip. It really wasn't, but I'm just kidding, And so when we got to Moonville, we had to go through the woods at that time to get to it. Now you don't. So we went, and we were inside the tunnel, and I'm telling them stories and stuff about ghost stories. And this kid picks up this rock, and he said, hey, Mr. Reinhart, can I take this rock home for a souvenir? I told him, I said, if you take that rock home, you're going to take part of that ghost with you. At your house, that kid just went, threw it down there, and stuff. So that was my Moonville story. Okay.
How?
See what's on here.
So you mean pot roast doesn't work for bait?
No, pot roast. So I had to look real quick and find a place for bait for these kids. And I had a buddy that went with me all the time, and he kind of watched them and stuff while we were doing that, and it's just like, oh my gosh. Okay, you were talking about Moonville. The second picture from the left, that's Kings Hollow Tunnel. And that's on the same, what was the same railroad line as Moonville.
Okay.
Okay. And
It looks similar.
But Moonville is brick and stone. This is creosote timber. And it's lasted since the 1800s. And it is not as visited as Moonville Tunnel is, but I think it's actually a little bit more interesting than Moonville Tunnel. It's easy to get to. It's an easy walk. If you go on out 356, you'll come to a road that's called Rock Camp Road is what it's called. And you'll come to where the railroad used to be, and there's a cut through it where the road comes. And you just park there and go to the right and go and walk. And it's probably maybe, 70 yards. And you walk and you can come to that tunnel.
That's cool.
Today, now they have the Moonville Rail Trail that connects Moonville Tunnel and Kings Hollow Tunnel.
How far is that?
I'm not sure. I've never walked it, but a friend of mine, Dave McPherson, I don't know if you know him, he runs Uncle Buck's riding stable, and they take rides to Moonville Tunnel and to that tunnel also, to Kings Hollow Tunnel. So that's an interesting thing I would think to do. I just have never walked it, and I've never ridden it. I just know that that's one of the routes that they take people on to go to that. In the vicinity of that tunnel, about 10, 15 yards, you run into Kings Hollow Road, and you turn right there, and you don't go very far, and on the left, have you ever hear the phrase, where you been living under a rock?
Yes.
Well, that's a door going under that rock. You see that?
On the left-hand side?
Yeah, there's a little room that's built under that rock. And so you can't, what you see from the road is the rock, but if you park there by the rock and you walk around, you'll see that. And I don't know, I call it the shack under the rock, but I think it was maybe a place like people had root cellars at one time, they didn't have refrigeration, so they would store places in the ground and stuff. But it's just a really unique thing. And if you go on out Kings Hollow Road, every county seems to have one, but that's Athens County's Devil's Tea Table there, that third from the left, that's right there. And you can see it when the vegetation's off, the leaves are off, you can see it up on the hills, you're driving, big steep hill, you can go up there to that too.
Yeah.
And keep on going, and you'll go to a town called Mineral. You come back on 356. There's a road that comes out of that town called Biddy Road, and you drive, and as soon as you go up a hill, if you stop at the top of the hill, you look down over, and that is called Mineral Bridge. That's a natural bridge. That's an arch that's there too. So those places are all in the same area. So that's kind of a little thing that you can do when you're driving around. These places are not long walks to get to and stuff. It's just interesting stuff that you can see.
Yeah.
And that's in southern Vinton County, or the northern part of the
Do
Athens
any of them
County.
have like if you put it in your GPS, will it get you there, or you'd have to just know where to go?
I don't know. I mean, I just, you know.
You
me,
just know where to go.
Yeah, you know me, that sort of thing. But, yeah, I mean, you know, some of these places that I've shown you today, I mean, they're publicly accessible, and they're easy walks. Maybe one would be a longer walk, that sort of thing. It's, you know.
Love that.
Yeah. Somebody requested to me, and I don't know much about this, that maybe one of the things that we should do is find out about the opportunities for handicapped accessible outdoor activities.
Good idea.
And
Good idea.
maybe, you know, the next time that I come back,
Yeah.
you know, I'll look into that, because
Sure.
there are a lot of parents that want to know that sort of thing.
Yeah,
You know? And going back,
absolutely.
you know, we still talk about that Parks District. That would be the emphasis. One of the emphases would be to have a handicapped accessible park, and
Yes.
parks that do just for children.
Yes.
You know,
Love that.
that sort of thing for Jackson County. I think that would just be really great and stuff.
It would be very thoughtful.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I mean, that's my
That's
my
his
trip.
spiel for today.
That's my spiel for today. I mean,
Well, this is so, you know, you are just a wealth of information, and I hope you keep exploring and finding places, and we appreciate you sharing them with us.
yeah, you know, it's just people need to get out, you know, and you hope that the kids, if they're out, they'll learn to appreciate the outdoors,
Yeah.
you know, and you know, if
And
they-
for the love of God, don't litter and stuff.
No, don't do that. Yeah, I don't understand, you know, and it just seems like the more human activity there is, the more somebody's going to do something like that, you know.
Sometimes we can be disgusting.
Well, and sometimes people get caught doing it too, and you got a hefty
And
fine.
that's a big fat no-no. Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't want to get caught.
There are several private preserves that are in the county, and Joel Woods' group runs those things. And they had cameras up, and those cameras were like connected with his phone and stuff. And these people were dumping trash on one of those properties. Well, Joel could just, you know, see that they were doing it. Well, anyways, he gave it to the sheriff's department, the video. So they got the license number off of it. So they go to the house of these people. And anyways, they said, "Were you dumping trash at such and such?" Well, no. He says, "Was this your car?"
Oh, really?
Is this your truck?
Because it looks like you.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, that's one of the few times, I guess, when there was justice, maybe.
No, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, and stuff and everything. But I don't know how much longer we got.
Well, we have a couple minutes, then Pete's here to do some news, and so we can chat. Pete, we started about 10 minutes late, so we have time for news.
I was trying to look and see if I covered everything. Yeah, I told you that it cost to restore Raccoon Creek. It cost like $17 million over that period from the 1970s on.
Holy moly.
That, you know, by the things they were doing, they were eliminating 8,500 pounds of toxins that were going into Raccoon Creek a day. So that's
So where are the toxins going now?
well, they're neutralized.
Okay.
Because
Because of the limestone
The
and-
limestone.
okay.
The limestone
That makes
does that,
sense.
and then if you seal off the sources, if you move the waste piles of coal, which is what they did, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and there were some private groups that helped the state along with that. That wasn't just the ODNR that was doing that and stuff. So, anyways.
It's great. You are just full of it, and in a really
I'm
good
full
way.
of it.
Same as Pete Wilson's full of it in a good way as well.
Yeah. Well, I enjoy coming.
Well, we love having you here and learning about all of the beautiful places. that we can visit if we can find them
Yeah.
here in our area, and the just absolutely, it costs you nothing
Right.
to just get out and about and
And those
enjoy.
those permit places, it doesn't cost you anything for the permit.
You just need to make
You
sure
just
you
need
go
to
through the
apply
right channels. Yeah.
you know, apply for the permit. And like I said, a lot of those places, it's good for like 14 days. And you can go in as many times as you want. Just make sure that you apply ahead of time of the date that you want to go,
Yeah.
you know, like 10 days ahead of time or whatever it is and stuff. So,
There you go.
All
Just
right.
follow the rules.
okay.
Well, Dennis, thank you so
Well,
much. And
thank
come back
you.
and see us soon.
I will. I mean, I would really like to keep this going.
Heck yeah.
Until we cover all these southeastern Ohio counties.
Love that. It's always so much fun. So
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, come on over, Pete Wilson, while we're changing out. We're going to hear from our friends at Vinton County Bank.
At Vinton County National Bank, we believe in supporting the areas where we live and work. Now, we'd like to honor those who also serve our communities. Our new Community Champions account is especially for first responders, veterans, active military, and anyone employed in the fields of healthcare or education. This account offers rewards, discounts, and other benefits to those who give so much to others. Vinton County National Bank, rewarding those who serve.
All right, and we are back. Hope you're enjoying the program here. Our good friend Pete Wilson stopped by to tell us the latest and greatest on news. So what's going on today, Mr. Wilson?
Okay, well, we're gonna discuss one main topic, and then I'm gonna hit you with a bunch of stuff that's going on in the next several days that you should know about. If you
Okay.
don't already know about, we'll do a service.
Okay.
All right. First of all, we had a story in our paper on Wednesday about the Jackson income tax. Now, it's not news that the income tax lost, but it begs the question: why did it lose?
Why?
4 years ago, 5 years ago, well, no, 4 years ago, in 2020, it passed. And, you know, it did not have a great electoral history as far as passing, but it passed about 53% to 47%. It wasn't a nail biter, but it passed. All right. We go to the 2024 general election, and it loses by about the same amount that it won by before.
Sure.
A swing of about 300 some votes there. You know, not a lot, but still significant when you consider it was on the plus side before and on the negative side after. As you know, Jennifer, I don't think that this is unobjective comment. A lot of positive feedback from the community about the things that have happened because
Absolutely.
they have this income tax money, and frankly, it's brought in more than they thought. Last year, $4.2 million for a 1.5% city income tax. And what this does, you know, if you don't know, you haven't heard the update or you've forgotten, a lot of the money goes to fund the police department. Now, the police department, instead of being partially funded by the income tax, is completely funded by the income tax. The other part of the income tax mainly goes for improvement projects. It doesn't go to pay the mayor's salary or the councilman's salary or to run things or pay people. It goes for infrastructure and improvement projects, capital improvement projects. Mainly what we're talking about visibly would be the street paving program.
Yes.
That is not the only thing, but that is the main thing.
Yes.
Every year they've done $1 million or more worth of street paving, badly needed. I think we can all agree.
Yes.
So the thought was nothing. We can't presume anything in this world, in news or politics. But the presumption was that it might have a good chance of passing again because it passed the first time without anybody being able to see what it would do. And I think everybody agrees a lot has been done. Okay.
Yes.
So why did it lose? That was what this article was about. I talked to Mayor Randy
Interesting.
Evans. I talked to Jackson Police Chief Brett Hinch. I talked to Aaron Young, who is I believe the leader of Citizens for Jackson, the committee that helped promote the income tax issue. So why did it lose? Well, there's probably not a simple reason for it.
I don't think there's one answer.
Scientifically, you're not going to come down to that, but some of the things that came out in our interviews, and then later on social media as far as like comments because of stories and things that were posted from the story, and also just anecdotally conversations that have been had that's got back to me. The number of things include the high voter turnout, which means you had a lot of people voting that did not vote the first time.
Sure.
And since there were no citywide candidates or even countywide issues on the ballot, you know that you have to feel that the vote is heavy because of the presidential race.
Oh,
Maybe
absolutely.
even to a lesser degree, the U.S. Senate race. But it wasn't local this time.
Right.
Even though it was local voters. So did that make a difference? Because you had a lot of people voting this time that didn't vote the first time when it passed. And that still begs the question on why they might have voted against it. Okay. Other reasons are certainly pocketbook issues, all right?
Yeah.
Inflation has hit everybody. No matter how much money you have, it's hit everybody. And then on top of that, we had a reappraisal in our county.
The dreaded reappraisal, 7-year reappraisal.
That drove up property taxes. So when you're voting on a tax levy, that's going to be different. It's going to be more. Not because they're asking for more millage. It's going to be more because your property is worth more. Even if your property doesn't seem like it's worth more, it's a market thing. It averages out everybody's property.
For sure.
Real estate went up, 20-some% since that last update.
But here's the thing, it's a property tax, and we're talking about an income tax. So, but I think people see the word tax and they associate them all together.
A tax is a tax is a tax.
Yes.
Okay, and then another factor probably was one of the differences. It was basically a rerun of the 1.5% city income tax. They didn't change very much, but there was some speculation. Some people thought, because it was on the ballot, that this was an addition or a new tax as opposed to what was already on there. Now, it said continuation. But
that would require people to read, Pete.
Right. So there was some social media comments where people said that they had talked to people who thought that it was a new tax. Well, I'm not going to give a new tax on top of the old one,
Okay.
And another factor that is a legitimate reason to at least consider voting no is the lack of a sunset clause. There was a sunset clause means that a tax issue doesn't run forever; it runs for a set amount of time. The sun sets, and then you decide whether you need the tax again.
Yes.
This time, in 2020, there was a 5-year sunset clause, and Randy Evans, the mayor of Jackson, insisted on this. He says we have to show the people that this is worth it, and we hope that after you see what we can do with this,
In 5 years, I ask for 5 years.
right, you'll approve it again.
Sure.
A decision was made not to have a sunset clause this time, which means that it would run through a continuing period of time, which you could almost insert the word permanent.
Permanent, yeah.
Not necessarily, really. To be fair, council can remove it. They can vote to remove it the same way they can vote to put it on. And also, if they wouldn't need it or for whatever reason they don't want to do it anymore, also citizens can put it on the ballot or force it to the ballot by what is called a referendum.
Yep.
So nothing is really truly permanent, but
that'd be a tough thing to do.
But this time, if somebody would say, I think there was a lot of good things with that happened with the income tax money and whatever, but there has to be accountability built in. So do this for another 5 years, and then we'll see again.
Sure.
So I don't know. Is that a factor? It could have been with some people.
The sunset clause, I think it was a huge factor.
Okay. So that was a factor as well. But those were the different things that people said. And I think that it's reasonable to think that all of them may have played a part in that.
I agree.
So what's going to happen going forward? I know that the tax is going to be put back on. It's going to be probably put back on in the primary election. First of all, if you're not paying attention, this is important to say, the income tax is not going to end soon. Even if it didn't get approved next year, it's going to run through the end of 2025 because it was put on as a 5-year tax.
Right.
And they went to the voters in year 4, which wasn't a bad thing to do, I think.
No,
Because,
try it out
some
and
people
see.
may not have liked that either, a few, but what they're doing is it allows them to see, it gives them a comfort zone if it wouldn't pass. And this is what the city administration said at a couple council meetings. hey, if we're not going to have this tax, we got to know ahead of time because we got projects planned and like
Right,
that.
right.
So,
No, it
so
makes
they wanted
sense.
they wanted to know for that. So that is dissecting the city income tax on why it didn't pass. And as we said, it's all speculative, but you can also try to take a logical approach to it too.
Do any of the viewer, do you have an opinion on why the tax failed? It doesn't. You don't have to say how you voted. Just do you have an opinion on why you think?
Well-
I think I've been asking lots of people. You and I have talked about this
Right,
off
and-
the air. I've been talking to a lot of people.
And this can
about
happen
it.
too. I think it would be isolated. I can safely say that I don't think there's been a single major controversy that would bring down anything the city would put up. Something unrelated to the tax, but that people are unhappy about that would make them be negative towards the city. But individually, who knows? Somebody gets picked up for a speeding ticket that they didn't think was right.
Forget the police. I'm voting
Somebody
no.
didn't
Yeah.
like how they were treated by a city employer. They didn't like that their utility bill went up.
Is it personal? Yeah.
Somebody they didn't pick up somebody's garbage someday. They didn't. There's a lot of things that can affect somebody's attitude and say, well, I'm not going to support that because of this. And
Right.
it's very personal and very individual and probably doesn't have a whole lot to do with the worth and the need for the tax, but it's reality.
Pete, this is the interesting part that I have gleaned from the folks that I've talked to, and God knows I talk to a lot of people. I don't know. I have had one person tell me that they voted no because of a run-in with somebody, and it was personal.
Right.
So you just kind of, okay, fine. But I never, this is what's strange. I have not had one person tell me that they didn't think that the money was spent wisely or that what the city's doing with the money is not a good thing. It's because of other situations that they would have voted no. Typically, a la the sunset clause or something of that nature. But everybody says they're doing good with it, though.
Right. Well,
So-
that's the paradox of
Okay.
of the situation. And also, there's people that also look at it totally from an individual point of view, their self situation, meaning that if they feel that the tax is not important to them. For instance, it's like somebody voting against a school levy because their kids are out of school.
Correct.
It's not that the school isn't worth it or anything, but I've done my share
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
So
it's-
somebody could consider that. You could argue until you're blue in the face if it's a financial argument or just whether you want to vote for it.
Or maybe people were just in a bad mood when they went to the ballot box, Pete.
Yeah, could have been.
I'm sick of this election thing. I'm voting no. I
Yeah.
don't know. I have no idea.
No, I don't think it's a simple answer. And
It's not.
And there wasn't, and it certainly wasn't one thing that was in this article that I wrote. But a couple of other things we want to tell you about real quick,
Sure.
Jennifer. Don't forget the Wellston Sidewalk Market, the debut of the Wellston Sidewalk Market. It'll be limited, but by golly, they're rolling it out. It will
Love
be
that.
from 5 p.m. Tonight inside the Shops on First. That's at 108 East First Street in Wellston. Some of the same folks that have made the sidewalk market successful in Jackson are working with the folks in Wellston, and this is kind of like a early run inside. They want to do a true sidewalk market next year, just like Jackson does.
Yes.
And so this is kind of like
Fun.
the first one. All right, do not forget that the Legend of Sleepy Hollow is taking place this weekend at the
That's
Jackson
right.
Middle School Auditorium.
There they are.
Yep, there they are. It is, since we have their pictures there, you have Liam Milliken there on the left. That is Ichabod Crane, the schoolmaster. Also listing there is a fellow student played by Cameron Kilgore. And the other young lady there is Elena Houston, who is also a student. That is Ichabod Crane, the schoolmaster, who's in his school right then teaching.
Yep.
But at some point, though, he's being chased by the headless horseman.
That's
and we know
right.
that that'll happen. That's not too much of a spoiler alert. That's supposed to be a
No,
tease.
that is a thing.
All right, but anyway, 7 p.m., Friday evening, 7 p.m. Saturday evening, and then on 3 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. You can get seats, you can buy tickets in advance or should be able to get them at the door as well. Speaking of the play, the Jackson Historical Society is showing a movie, a free movie tonight at the Potter Room of the Jackson City Library.
Okay.
It is a movie called The Awakening Land, and it has some big stars in it. Elizabeth Montgomery, Hal Holbrook, and Jane Seymour are in it. And if you haven't seen it, this would be a great opportunity to see it. The reason the Historical Society is showing it free of charge is it is based on pioneers who settled near Chillicothe.
Really?
And it's
Interesting.
about how tough their life was and the challenges they had. And so there's some local relevance involved in that.
Cool.
They're going to have a meeting at 5 p.m., very short business meeting, and then they will show the movie. You don't have to be a member to come, and the library is even providing free popcorn.
There you go.
All right. A Jaffe food giveaway is going to be held at their McCarty Lane place,
Yes.
right there across from the side entrance to Walmart. It will be from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Saturday. The Wellston Community of Christ Church, located at 652 Radcliffe Lane in Wellston, is having a free community Thanksgiving dinner. Anybody can come. That's just not for the church people. It will be served from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. You can even call ahead and drive up and leave with that Thanksgiving dinner. A chicken noodle dinner to benefit the Jesus in the Hills Food Pantry will be held this Saturday at the Limerick Grange out on Savageville Road. It'll be from 11:30 to 3:30 p.m. You can get a great meal featuring chicken and noodles and a dessert, whole 9 yards, for only $10, and that money will support the good work of the Jesus in the Hills Food Pantry. The Trinity Wesleyan Church down in Oak Hill, one of the more active churches in Oak Hill, they're having a Christmas craft and vendor show from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. What a place to get some early Christmas gifts there. Lisa Warrens, who we know so well, formerly of the Senior Citizens, and now with the Community Action, also worked out at Cantor's Cave. Anything she's involved in will be good.
Yep.
She's a great organizer, and I know that she has had a hand in that. This Sunday, we're getting close to Thanksgiving, and so you got to count your blessings, and you can do that at the Wellston Thanksgiving service, which will be held 6 p.m. Sunday at the Hope Methodist Church in Wellston. This is a collaborative thing of the ministers in Wellston involved in the Wellston Ministerial Association. Our own John Pelletier won't be singing this time, but he'll be bringing a message of thanksgiving. Anybody can go to this. You don't have to be a church person. You don't have to be a member of the Hope Methodist Church. You don't even have to be from Wellston. That's
There you
6
go.
p.m. Sunday at the Hope Methodist Church. So that's just a sampling of some of the things that are going on. If you buy a paper, there'll be a lot more in there. I
That's
promise you.
right. And tis the season. So, all right. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in. Thanks to Dennis Reinhart for stopping by and sharing some of his vast knowledge about the beauty of our area. And, of course, to Pete for coming in, letting us know about the news.
You think of Bob Irvin on the local history,
Yeah.
and now you think of Dennis Reinhart on the outdoor
Yes.
activity. I am sure that he has been on some places in Jackson County and in the area that no man has trod.
Yes, I would
except for maybe the Indians.
Yes,
but Dennis
I would
Reinhart
say you're
knows.
right.
And the best thing about it is he's a smart guy. He knows geology, he knows biology, he knows zoology. He knows all that stuff, and he's sharing it with the rest of us.
He is, and that's very unselfish of him. So, have a great day, everyone. Stay warm. Maybe some snow in the forecast, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.
From breaking news to heartwarming stories, the Telegram is your ticket to the latest buzz in town.
Read your daily dose of local headlines, sports, and entertainment and more in hand and on paper.
Get a print and digital subscription for only $7.95 per month. Delivered fresh every Wednesday and Saturday.
Visit thetelegramnews.com or call 740-286-3023 today.
Don't just read the news, be a part of it.